Good morning. I'm going to invite everyone to find the seat with your name on it. We begin this morning with the words of the psalmist, Hinei Matov, words so appropriate on a beautiful morning like today as we welcome Rachel as a bat mitzvah. How good and how pleasant indeed it is to be together on this Shabbat. שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומנעים. שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומנעים. שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה טוב ומנעים. שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומנעים. שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומנעים. שבת אחים גם יחד.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
It is so great to be able to join with all of you this Shabbat morning. On this beautiful Shabbat morning, whether you are sitting here in our garden or you are coming in from somewhere around the world or country around the world. Wow. Isn't it so exciting to have this technology that we can feel in community, to be able to not only celebrate Shabbat as a community, but to welcome Rachel as a bat mitzvah within this larger Jewish community as you're becoming an adult on this day. For those of you who are new to Temple Isaiah, I am Rabbi Miller.
I'm Cantor Korn, and Daniel Lockhart accompanies us on the piano this morning.
As we settle into our service today, I invite you that if you have a cell phone with you, either here or at home, that you go and you turn it off. You put it to the side to be able to allow you to just be present in this moment, to be able to have this time just for yourself, but also for Rachel as well. That all of us who are here in this community, present in this community, will keep on our mask the whole time. And we have a tradition here at Temple Isaiah that there's going to be many times that we're going to want to tell Rachel that she is doing an amazing job of leading us in prayer, of teaching us Torah, of reading Torah. And so it looks like this. It's called a shul clap. You can try it out. And what's so nice is that you can also do that from home, and we can see you here. So try it out. Rachel, turn around. You can see all that love coming from around. Look at all of that. But you can kind of feel that presence. She can see you throughout the service this morning. And for those who are on Zoom, to know that you can put in lots of messages and chat as well. Rachel is going to receive all of those afterwards to feel your love and support. So with that, we take a moment now to just settle ourselves into this moment. We take a deep breath in and let it out. Another breath in and out. We're here in this moment. It takes a lot to get here. It takes a lot to become a bat mitzvah, but it takes a lot for all of us to say that we're going to put aside the work week. We're going to put aside all of our worries and to-do lists and everything else to just be able to be in the moment of Shabbat. And that's what we do today. We do that as we come together as a community. And as we welcome Rachel as a bat mitzvah, it's our tradition to start by presenting her with a talit. This talit that she is going to receive today has seats on the bottom, on the four corners of her talit. These these strings that you see have lots of knots and twists and turns. And our ancient rabbis taught that if you count them all up, you get to 613. These same rabbis also said that there are 613 mitzvot, commandments, responsibilities that are written within the Torah that when you become an adult, you're to take on many of these. You work towards bringing more of the Jewish traditions, more of our responsibilities into your life. And so when you put on your talit beyond this moment, you're reminded of what you took on the day that you become a bat mitzvah. It's our tradition for the parents to present their daughter with a talit, and so I invite up Richard and Sarah to present Rachel with her talit.
Sarah, come a little closer to the microphone.
Hey, Rachel. We're so proud of you today. Oh, okay. On this day, when you formally enter into your Jewish adulthood, I share my blessings and my hopes. I bless each amazing part of who you are, the funny, the fascinating, the curious, the adventurous, and the creative. And I bless your resilience, your extraordinary ability to bounce back and keep going, even in the face of adversity. They say a true test of character is what you do when no one is around to see. This year has been that test. You have shown us what it looks like to not only endure, but to thrive in a year of isolation, separated from your friends and the activities that you love. Although you normally love to be around people, you did not surrender, you did not complain. Instead, you jumped into quarantine as a new adventure. You reveled like an adult in having the time and space to explore your passions. Together, we built a farm, we raised veggies, and we raised baby chicks. And then you took the initiative. You taught yourself cooking, drawing, art, crafting. You designed your own upcycled clothing. You explored environmental issues, asking yourself, what can I do to make a difference from home? And then you did. Qualities that many adults work hard to achieve, you honed on your own, your self-attained superpowers: acceptance, resilience, creativity, perseverance, grace, and humor. We are proud that you have a superpower toolkit to bring into adulthood. May you continue to explore the world with curiosity and joy, and to infuse everything you do with that very special Rachel spark. Rachel, it is an honor to bless you, because having you in our life is an honor and a blessing.
I didn't realize I had to say anything. No, just kidding. Let's see. Luckily, I keep a poem in my back pocket just for such occasions. A poem by Richard Millay, titled, Don't Stop Now. Rachel, don't stop. Don't stop questioning. Don't stop challenging the answers you're given. Don't stop being curious, and don't stop learning. Don't stop trying new foods, and don't stop finding joy in cooking, and don't stop changing and altering the recipes. Don't stop don't stop saving water and turning off the lights of empty rooms. Don't stop planting trees. Don't stop seeing the garbage in the creeks and pulling it out. Don't stop thinking in colors. Don't stop creating. Don't stop playing in cloudbursts. Don't stop dancing with your friends, and don't stop laughing at yourself. Don't stop becoming angry, and don't stop crying, and don't stop feeling pain. Don't stop receiving, and don't stop giving. Don't stop caring, and don't stop forgiving. Don't stop making mistakes, don't stop failing, and don't stop persevering. And don't stop remembering how much we love you. Rachel, you're doing great, and don't stop now.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu, lahitatef b'tzitzit.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, shehecheyanu, v'kiyemanu, v'higiyanu, b'zman hazeh.
We thank you, God, for bringing us to this moment, this time of transition in Rachel's life, as she goes from being a child within our community to being a responsible adult. We continue now with Chatzi Kaddish.
Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah,
Amen.
be'alma divrach hirtei v'amlich malchutei, v'chayachon uvyamachon, uv'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kariv, ve'imeru. Amen. Yehi shemei Rabbah mevarach, le'alam u'lamei almaya, Yitbarach, Yitbarach, Vishtabach, Vitpa'ar, Vichoman, Vitnaseh, V'yitadar, V'yitaleh, V'yitalal, Shemei Dekudesha, Brihu, Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, Tushbechata v'nechemata, Damiran be'alma, Ve'imeru. Amen.
Please rise either in body or in spirit as we enter our prayers with the Baruch Hu, our call to worship.
Baruch
Baruch
et
Adonai,
It's our tradition that if you're wearing a talit, you take the seats from the four corners of your talit together as we prepare for singing the words of Shema. These words remind us of our connection to God, to the oneness of God, to the oneness of community. And through the seat, it reminds us that there are many ways to be able to connect to God. We can connect to God in moments like this of prayer, but also through how we choose to act in the world. We take our seat, we bring them up to our eyes, and together sing the words of Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed.
Please be seated as we continue with V'yachafta.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Adonai Elohechem Emet. As a Jewish people, we have the story of the Exodus, the story of the Israelites coming out of Egypt and walking to the Promised Land, a journey that took 40 years. But it's that moment when they left Egypt that we hold on to as a people. We hold on to from generation after generation, reminding us of this moment, of how lucky we were that God, and through Moses and Aaron, we were able to come out of Egypt and began to go to a place of freedom. Now, we know that not all people are able to live within the freedom that we're so lucky to have. And so when we sing Michamocha, the words in which the Israelites sang as they crossed the Red Sea, we are reminded that it's now our responsibility to become the people to reach out, to be the people who help others to be able to live in a freedom that is right for them. Let us remember that responsibility as together we sing Michamocha.
יהודה וישראל, גואלנו, אדוני צבאות שמו, קדוש ישראל, ברוך אתה אדוני, כל ישראל.
We rise either in body or in spirit as we come to the Amidah, the central prayers of our service, first reminding us of our connection to the generations before, to the power of God, and to the holiness that we experience in community.
Adonai sefatev tivtach ufi yagi techilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor Ve'anora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'konei Hakol, Ve'zocher Chasdei Avot V'imot, Umevi Geula Livnei V'nechem, Leman Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer Umoshia Umagen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה, רב להושיע, מוריד הטל. מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים. סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומידו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה. ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל.
נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, הכתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה לזה ואמר, קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוך כל הארץ, כבודו. אדיר, אדירנו אדוני, אדוננו מאדיר שמך בכל הארץ, ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו. אחד הוא אלוהינו, הוא אבינו ומלכנו, הוא מושיענו והוא ישמיענו, ברחמיו לעיני כל חי. אני אדוני אלוהיך, ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהי ציון, לדור ודור. הללויה. לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש, ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
We take a few moments now for our own silent prayers. It's a time for us to look within our own hearts, our own soul, for the words, the reflections, the blessings, and hopes and dreams that we have on this Shabbat. We take a few moments now for silence, and when we are done, you may be seated.
עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. We arrive now really at the peak of our service, the moment that we will take our Torah, our holiest teaching, out of the ark, and eventually will end up in Rachel's arms. But not only will she be holding Torah, she will be sharing Torah, chanting Torah, and teaching Torah, and sharing how she has taken the lessons of Torah and of our people and made a difference in our world today. There will be many people participating, as there's much ritual surrounding this part of the service. First, for the ritual of passing the Torah, I call on Mordecai Duckler, Anna Forrest, Isabella Malay, Sarah Duckler, and of course, Rachel, our bat mitzvah. We'll invite you to line up between the ark and Rachel. And I'm going to have you all face me for just a moment. Rachel, in just a moment, we are going to put this Torah in your arms. And of course, it is not just happenstance that Torah landed here today. These people standing next to you from your family are signs that Torah has passed for many generations in your family, and even beyond where your aunt is standing. If you imagine that line kept going and going and going, for generations, all the way back to when we received Torah at Sinai. And we like to think that even in that moment, somebody had that twinkle in their eye that they knew someday Torah would reach Rachel Malay here at Temple Isaiah in Lafayette, California. What an amazing thing. And you've held the Torah, we've practiced with the Torah, so you know the Torah is a little bit heavy, as is some of the responsibility we're putting on your shoulders today. We hope that you will take all of your learning, that you will continue to grow, and that while you will not physically carry Torah with you everywhere you go, that you will carry Torah's teachings with you everywhere, that it will be a big part of how you live your life and the influence you have on all those around you in making this world a better place. And so it is with great pride, but also great expectations that we now pass you the Torah in the hope that the Torah will not end here, but that line that we talked about from that direction will continue now in this direction for generations to come. So Anna, I'm going to invite you to open the ark.
Please rise.
And we'll invite you to take the Torah and pass it from generation to generation. We are gifts, and we are blessings. We are history in song. We are hope, and we are healing. We are learning to be strong. L'dor vador nagid god lecha. L'dor vador we protect this chain. From generation to generation, L'dor vador, these lips will praise your name. And Rachel, we're going to have you stand now in front of the microphone, ready to lead the Shema in the Torah service.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo.
And Mordecai and Anna will invite you to go back to your seats. And Rachel and Sarah and Isabella will invite you to help Rachel now prepare the table and undress the Torah for our reading. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachavu lehar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachavu lehar kodsho.
Please be seated. This morning, Rachel is going to be reading from the book of Leviticus. The Israelites have come out of Egypt. They're on their journey to the Promised Land. And right after they're at Mount Sinai, or even still at Mount Sinai, they receive a lot of instructions for how to be a holy nation. Here they are, they've never been a nation. They've never been a people before. They don't know what it means to be able to make their own decisions, and therefore need guidance on how to be able to work together, how to be able to connect together, how to be able to carry on the traditions that they're making now for all these generations to get to this point. And so in this Torah portion, we receive information about how the priests were to act and who were to able to come and to help with all the sacrifices, which are a way to be able to connect to God. And we also learn all about the holidays, these holidays that are just starting that we're still celebrating today, come from this Torah portion so long ago to remind us that each year, season after season, we are to celebrate these holidays in order to make sure that we are a holy and sacred community. And so we're excited for Rachel first to be able to read some of this message and then also to teach us a message from this Torah portion.
For the first Aliyah, we call up Rachel's sister, Isabella.
Rachel, before I read your Aliyah, as you enter Jewish adulthood, I want to introduce you to one of my favorite poets, Mary Oliver. I hope that within this poem you can feel how excited I am for you in this new stage of your life and how much I love you. Mornings at Blackwater Pond. For years, every morning, I drank from Blackwater Pond. It was flavored with oak leaves and also, no doubt, the feet of ducks. We have some in the audience. And always it assuaged me from the dry bowl of the very far past. What I want to say is that the past is the past, and the present is what your life is, and you are capable of choosing what that will be, darling citizen. So come to the pond, or the river of your imagination, or the harbor of your longing, and put your lips to the world and live your life. Baruch Adonai Hamborach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai Hamborach Leolam Vaed. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol hamim. V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vaydaber Adonai el Moshe lemor. Shor o chesef o ez ki yivaled v'haya shiv'at yamim tachat imo umiyom hashmini v'hal'a yeratzeh lekorban ishe la'Adonai. Veshor oseh oto ve'et beno lo tishchatu bayom echad.
The Eternal spoke to Moses, saying, "When an ox or a sheep or a goat is born, it shall stay 7 days with its mother, and from the 8th day on it shall be acceptable as an offering by fire to the Eternal. However, no animal from the herd or from the flock shall be slaughtered on the same day with its young.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen. For the second Aliyah, we call up Rachel's uncle, Mordecai Duckler, and aunt, Anna Forrest. Ya'amdu ha'alim la'aliyah la'Torah.
Baruch Hu Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher b'nu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. V'chi tizbechu zevach todah la'Adonai, lirtzonchem tizbechu. Bayom hahu ya'achel lo totiru mimenu ad boker, ani Adonai. Ushmartem mitzvotai v'asitem otam, ani Adonai. Velo techalelu et shem kadshi v'nikdashti betoch bnei Yisrael, ani Adonai mekadishchem, hamotzi etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, lehiyot lachem le'Elohim, ani Adonai.
When you sacrifice a thanksgiving offering to the Eternal, sacrifice it so that it may be acceptable in your favor. It shall be eaten on the same day. You shall not leave any of it until morning. I am eternal. You shall faithfully observe my commandments. I am the Eternal. You shall not profane my holy name, that I may be sanctified in the midst of the Israelite people. I, the Eternal, who sanctify you. I, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I, the Eternal.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Thank you. For the third Aliyah, we call it Rachel's parents, Sarah and Richard. Ya'amdu ha'alim la'aliyah la'Torah.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher barcha banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vaydaber Adonai el Moshe lemor. Daber el bnei Yisrael v'amarta alehem mo'adei Adonai asher tikra'u otam mikra'ei kodesh elehem mo'adai sheshet yamim te'aseh melacha uvayom hashvi'i Shabbat, Shabbaton, Mikra Kodesh, Kol Melacha Lo Ta'asu, Shabbat Hi L'Adonai, Bechol Moshvotechem.
The Eternal spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the Israelite people and say to them, These are my fixed times, the fixed times of the eternal, which you shall proclaim as sacred occasions. On 6 days work may be done, but on the seventh day there shall be a Sabbath of complete rest, a sacred occasion. You shall do no work, it shall be a Sabbath of the eternal throughout your settlements.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen.
Oh, wait, stay up.
And now for the
Special
fourth
moment.
aliyah, we
Bring it
call
closer.
Rachel for the very first time as a bat mitzvah before this Torah. Tamod, 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 ha-bachura bat ha-mitzvah, Rachel bat Sarah, l'aliyah la Torah, chazak.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai hamvorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen.
Ele moadei Adonai, mikra'ei kodesh, asher tikra'u otam bemoadam. Bechodesh harishon, ba'arba'a asar, lechodesh ben ha'arbaim, Pesach la'Adonai. Ubachamisha asar yom, lechodesh hazeh, Chag hamatzot la'Adonai, Shiv'at yamin matzot tochelu. Bayom harishon, mikra kodesh yehiye lechem, kol melechet avodah lo ta'asu. Vehikravtem ishe la'Adonai shiv'at yamim, bayom hashvi'i mikra kodesh, kol melechet avodah lo ta'asu.
These are the set times of the eternal, the sacred occasions, which you shall celebrate, each at its appointed time. In the first month, on the 14th day of the month, at twilight, there shall be a Passover offering to the eternal. And on the 15th day of the month, the eternal's feast of unleavened bread. You shall eat unleavened bread for 7 days. On the first day, you shall celebrate a sacred occasion. You shall not work at your occupations. 7 days you shall make offerings by fire to the eternal. The 7th day shall be a sacred occasion. You shall not work at your occupations.
Oh. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen.
As our Torah is opened, and we feel and we come together in this community, we feel the love of community. We also send this love out beyond this community to think of those in our lives who need a blessing of healing. There are many within our world today, and so we keep them in our hearts as we sing the words of Misha Berach.
with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us sing, Amen. I invite you now all to please rise as Rachel and her parents will now dress the Torah and return the Torah to the ark. Al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim haolam omed. Al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim haolam omed. Al haTorah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al gemilut chasadim. Al haTorah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al gemilut chasadim. It's time here, Lamachazikim v'tomacheha me'oshar deracheha darchenoam v'chol netivoteha shalom hashivenu Adonai elecha v'nashuva chadesh yameinu kekedem. Please be seated.
Okay. Should I? What am I doing?
Now that we have heard the words of Torah, Rachel is going to do a little teaching of Torah for us as well.
My Torah portion today is Emor in Leviticus. It speaks about the rituals of sacrifices and many of the Jewish holidays. After fully reading through it, something that stuck with me was this line. In the Torah, it states, "The Eternal One spoke further to Moses, 'Speak to Aaron and say, no man of your offspring throughout the ages who has a defect shall be qualified to offer the food of his God. No one at all who has a defect shall be qualified. No man who is blind or lame or has a limb too short or too long." It continues to list all of the ways a person could be damaged and bans them from practicing the ritual. Here at Temple Isaiah, we don't follow this practice of discrimination. We, as a Jewish people, have evolved and have learned that some of our rules are no longer acceptable. These realizations aren't just happening in the Jewish community, though. All across our country, so many people are only now starting to realize that many forms of discrimination can be found in the structures of our society. Now, I could easily do a full drosh on the criminal justice system or police brutality, and that would be meaningful and important. However, today I want to talk about just how deeply discrimination can be woven into our daily lives and how most of us see it as completely normal. For this, I did a small amount of research on some of America's most popular shows throughout the past few decades. From the 1950s to the late 1970s, some of the most popular shows were I Love Lucy, The Flintstones, Dallas, and Cheers. All of the main characters in each of these popular TV shows were white and straight. And yet, it doesn't occur to most of us how discriminatory that is, because it has been put into our minds since a very young age that white skin is the default. And for many Americans, that is still the case. However, a lot of good people are trying to change that. The change is happening slowly, but it's much better than 60 years ago. From the 1990s up until now, The Cosby Show, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and That's So Raven are a very, very small portion of the shows released that have mixed racial casting. And even more recently, the shows She-Ra, Bridgerton, and Julie and the Phantoms have been released, with both diverse racial characters as well as LGBTQ+ representation. There are people who are trying to stop normalized microaggressions, and it's having positive effects. Stopping small racial injustices can also stop bigger ones. For example, by having Black characters who aren't criminals, there will be less built-in bias in future police officers or judges. The things we do to change the world don't have to be noticeable. It could be something as simple as turning on a more progressive show to support the people who are trying to make a difference. Microaggressions can be found throughout our society, whether it's on TV or in the language we use. We need to start with the root of the problem in order to start breaking down the larger discrimination structures in our society. Just like the Jews have realized that we don't have to follow a discriminatory rule from hundreds of years ago, America doesn't have to accept small injustices. On this Shabbat, let each of us consider the choices we make daily that impact the world around us. Our choices can lead to justice and equality. Shabbat Shalom.
In addition to everything that Rachel has done today, the beautiful chanting, the leading us in prayer, sharing Torah, both from the scroll and from her heart, she is also the understanding that becoming a bat mitzvah is more than just what we do on a Shabbat morning at Temple Isaiah. To become a bat mitzvah is to understand that you have an important role in this world, an important role, as Rachel so importantly taught us, to engage in tikkun olam, to repair this very broken world that we live in. So in lieu of a traditional haftarah, Rachel is going to share the message of the prophets, but by way of sharing how she has taken on tikkun olam, how she has made a difference in the world, and hopefully will inspire you to do the same.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar binveim tovim v'ratza v'divreihem hane'emarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai habocher b'Torah uv'Moshe avdo uv'Yisrael amo uv'invi'eh ha'emet v'atzedek. One of my family's favorite places to hike for as long as I can remember has been Shell Ridge in Walnut Creek. We even had our own nickname for it, Dog Heaven, which I only learned wasn't the actual name of the park a few years ago. I had always been considering native plant restoration for my bat mitzvah project, so when I first volunteered for Bob Simmons at Shell Ridge, I decided that this is what I wanted to work on. After contacting him, I came to Deer Lake multiple times with different members of my family and friends, some of whom are in the audience and on Zoom today. I planted acorns, willows, and I tended to already set up sites by fencing, measuring, mulching, watering, and tagging plants. I was also able to take home a few willow branches and have planted them in my backyard. Cross your fingers for their survival with me. I have also talked with my family and decided to donate 18% of any money I receive from my bat mitzvah to forest restoration nonprofits. I am planning on and looking forward to working more on the sites at Deer Lake, and I hope this restoration will be beneficial to the ecosystem of Shell Ridge, as well as sustaining a beautiful place for families like mine. Baruch ata Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, tzur kol haolamin, tzaddik bechol hadorot, ha'el ha'ne'eman, ha'omer ve'oseh, hamdaber umkayem, shechol devarav, emet v'tzedek, al ha'torah, ve'al ha'avodah, ve'al ha'nevi'im, ve'al yom ha'shabbat hazeh, shanatatan lanu, Adonai Eloheinu, likdusha v'limnucha, lechavod ultifaret. Al hakol, Adonai Eloheinu, anachnu modim lach, umvarchim otach, yitbarach shimcha befi kol chai, tamid leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh haShabbat.
Amen.
Rachel, Mazel Tov. You can take that notebook of yours and close it up. You can take a deep breath and sigh out because, wow, it is such an honor to be able to be with you on this day as you have now become a bat mitzvah within our community. For years, I have watched you from you being a little girl running around our campus with Gani Lan and throughout the ages to being right up here as a future leader, actually already a leader within our community. A few nights ago, I was on a board meeting for Temple Isaiah. Super exciting. And in it, I thought of you, because in our board meeting of our synagogue, as you said, we no longer have these discriminatory practices when it comes to our rituals here. And yet, at our board meeting the other night, we were saying, we're not there yet. We have so much to learn. It was through the leaders of our congregation that they were talking about how we need to look at diversity, of equity, of inclusion within our community. And I said to someone, in the chat, I was like, you need to listen to Rachel this Shabbat, because Rachel is already there. You see, so many people say, well, how do we teach it to the children? How are you teaching it to the teens? And I said, actually, they're teaching it to me. And that's what you showed today. It is your generation, and it's you in particular, who can look out into the world and to say, we have so much work to do. Yes, we have better shows that we are watching. And yes, we are able to create a bar and bat mitzvah experience for people of so many diverse needs and abilities to be able to become an adult in our community, and yet we still have so much more work to do. So I'm looking at you today, and I'm thinking about that board meeting the other day, and now you're going to have to get involved. You're going to have to be our teacher. Some of them are actually watching today. I saw some of those faces. So they'll be calling you to say that you need to help us. Help us with this work, because that's what it means to become an adult in this Jewish community. It's not just through words and teaching, but it's about doing and inspiring and going and advocating. And I know that you're going to be this person that's going to lead us in that way. I look forward this summer as you go into Camp Kefli and our leadership program to begin that journey as a leader here at Temple Isaiah, but I know that will go beyond here to the world around you, to the Jewish community, to help us, to strengthen us, to get us to that higher level of really allowing all of us to feel comfortable in our own skin, in our own abilities, that we can be part of a community. So thank you for inspiring us today. And I look to you as you continue to go into this world as our leader. I have for you some gifts from the congregation that will continue to inspire you, and hopefully one day you'll use the certificate to take you to Israel. You'll use the Kiddush cup to continue to lead the sweetness of these holidays that you talked about in here. And with that, I invite up now your parents and Cantor Corn. As we mark this moment of transition for you with the priestly benediction, we send you onto this next journey with lots of love and blessings.
Stand close with her. יברכך אדוני וישמרך.
May God bless you and keep you.
יאר אדוני פניו אליך ויחונך.
May God's light shine upon you and be gracious to you.
יישא אדוני פניו אליך וישם לך Shalom.
May God's light always shine on you, in you, and through the incredible work you will do in your life. And may God grant you and your family, this community, and the world around us with the most precious gift, the gift of wholeness, the gift of peace. And let us all say together, Amen.
Mazel tov.
Mazel tov. We invite you to go and sit down with your parents. Actually, don't sit down because I'm going to go to the seats, but I'm going to invite everyone to please rise as we enter into our concluding prayers of the service with Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Our thoughts now turn to our loved ones who are no longer with us. We remember first from our community Shirley Denby and Don Bruner. We also remember Rachel's grandparents, Marvin Duckler and Naomi Duckler, as well as Jackie Stanfill. We keep all of them in our hearts as together we recite the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitzgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, v'alman divrach hirutei v'amlik malchutei, v'chayachon uv'yomechon uv'chayet dechol beit Yisrael, v'agala uv'izman kari v'imru, amen. Yehesh me rabba mevarach leolam ulamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitroman v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitale v'yitalal shemei dekudesha b'reichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran v'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehesh lama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Osei shalom b'mromav, uya asei shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen.
Osei shalom b'mromav, uya asei shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimeru. Amen. Once again, we say Mazal Tov to Rachel and her family, and we're going to invite them to just take a few steps forward and turn around so that everyone here, but also everyone who's watching on Zoom, can see them as we shower them with the words Siman Tov u'Mazel Tov. And immediately following, if you're joining us on Zoom, do not log off after our closing song, because we're going to see a video of that Rachel's family has prepared as a tribute to her and her amazing accomplishments on this day. mazel tov, siman tov, mazel tov, siman tov, mazel tov, siman tov, Yahelanu, 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 Ulecho Yisrael, Yahelanu, Yahelanu, Ulecho Yisrael, Yahelanu, Yahelanu, Ulecho Yisrael, Yahelanu, Yahelanu, Ulecho Yisrael. Mazal tov and Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.